The rain was relentless, mirroring the storm brewing inside me. For weeks, maybe months, a disquiet had settled in, a feeling that something was terribly wrong. My wife, Bronwyn, a vibrant artist who filled our Baltimore row house with color and laughter, had become distant, preoccupied. Caius, 44, an IT specialist. I solved problems for a living, but this felt unsolvable. Bronwyn's phone, once an open book, was now guarded more fiercely than Fort Knox. Late nights at the studio became more frequent, her explanations vaguer. The warmth in her eyes, the easy touch of her hand, had cooled to polite formality. She started working with a new art gallery in Georgetown, Washington. DC, I was happy for her, but she spent more and more time there. I tried talking to her, gently probing, but she'd brush it off with a weary smile and a promise that she was just stressed. Work was demanding, she'd say. The gallery owner was a perfectionist. I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. Our life together had been a tapestry woven with love, laughter, and shared dreams. We were the couple everyone envied, the artists with the beautiful home and the seemingly perfect relationship. One Saturday, Bronwyn told me she had a meeting at the gallery and wouldn't be back until late. I kissed her goodbye, a perfunctory peck on the cheek, and watched her walk out the door. The house felt empty, the silence amplifying the gnawing unease in my gut. I tried to distract myself tinkering with my computer, catching up on work, but my mind kept circling back to Bronwyn. The late nights, the secretive phone calls, the emotional distance, it all added up to a picture I desperately didn't want to see. I thought I should trust her, but I couldn't. Driven by a sudden, irrational impulse, I decided to surprise her. I knew the gallery's address in Georgetown and figured I could take her out to dinner afterward. Maybe a romantic evening would rekindle the spark that seemed to have flickered out. The drive to DC was agonizing. Each mile felt like a step closer to a truth I wasn't sure I could handle. I parked a block away from the gallery, wanting to catch her by surprise. As I approached, I peeked through the large front window. The gallery was dimly lit, but I could see Bronwyn standing near the back, talking to someone. My heart lurched as I recognized the man she was facing. It was Kellan, our neighbor. He was a sculptor known for his brooding intensity and effortless charm. Bronwyn had always dismissed him as arrogant and pretentious, but I'd seen the way she looked at him, a flicker of something I couldn't quite decipher. Now, as I watched them, their faces were close, their bodies almost touching. Bronwyn's hand rested on Kellan's arm, her fingers tracing a slow, deliberate path. A wave of nausea washed over me. I stumbled back, my vision blurring. This couldn't be happening. Not Bronwyn, not with Kellan. I stood there for what felt like an eternity, paralyzed by disbelief. Then, as if in slow motion, I saw Kellan lean in and kiss her. Bronwyn didn't pull away. Her eyes closed, and she returned the kiss with a passion that made my blood run cold. The world tilted on its axis. The tapestry of our life together unraveled before my eyes. I turned and ran, blindly navigating the streets of Georgetown. I didn't know where I was going, only that I had to get away. Away from the gallery, away from Bronwyn, away from the crushing weight of betrayal. I ended up at the waterfront, staring out at the dark, churning water. The rain intensified, soaking me to the bone, but I didn't feel it. The pain inside was far greater than any physical discomfort. I spent the next few hours wandering aimlessly, a ghost in my own life. I replayed every moment with Bronwyn, searching for clues I'd missed, signs I'd ignored. Had she ever really loved me? Was our entire relationship a lie? The questions echoed in my mind, unanswered, unforgiving. Finally, as dawn approached, I found myself back in Baltimore, parked outside our row house. I sat there for a long time, staring at the familiar facade, trying to gather the strength to face Bronwyn, to confront her with what I'd seen, to demand an explanation. But I knew deep down that there was no explanation that could ever justify her betrayal. I walked into the house, the silence heavier than before. Bronwyn wasn't there. A note lay on the kitchen counter, her familiar handwriting a cruel mockery of the love we once shared. Caius, it read, I need some time to think. I've gone to my sister's in Philadelphia. I'll call you. The audacity of it took my breath away. She'd been caught in the act, and she had the nerve to leave me a note saying she needed time to think. I crumpled the note in my fist, rage boiling inside me. I went upstairs to our bedroom, the room where we'd shared so many intimate moments. now tainted by her infidelity. I started throwing her clothes into a suitcase, fueled by a primal need to erase her presence from my life. As I rummaged through her drawers, I found a small velvet box hidden beneath a pile of lingerie. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside lay a diamond ring, not the simple band I'd given her when we got married, but a large, elaborate solitaire. A wave of realization crashed over me. This was the ring Kellan had been designing, the one he'd shown me sketches of, claiming it was for his girlfriend. He didn't have a girlfriend. It all made sense now. The late nights at the studio, the secretive phone calls, the weekend trips to New York, they weren't about art. They were about him. The pain intensified, morphing into a cold, burning anger. I wasn't just heartbroken. I was humiliated, betrayed in the most profound way imaginable. I closed the box, the weight of the ring heavy in my hand. This wasn't just about a kiss. It was about a deliberate, calculated deception. About two people I trusted conspiring behind my back to destroy my life. I knew I couldn't stay in that house, surrounded by memories of Bronwyn and Kellan. I packed a bag with my essentials, grabbed the keys to my car, and walked out the door, leaving everything behind. As I drove away, I made a vow to myself. I wouldn't let them get away with this. I wouldn't let them destroy me. I would find a way to rebuild my life, to reclaim my happiness, even if it meant leaving everything I knew behind. I drove north, not sure where I was going, only that I needed to escape. I ended up in Boston, a city I'd always wanted to visit but never had the chance. I checked into a small hotel near Fenway Park, the roar of the city a welcome distraction from the turmoil in my mind. I spent the next few days wandering the streets, exploring the historic neighborhoods, trying to piece myself back together. One evening I stumbled upon a small art gallery in Beacon Hill. The paintings were vibrant and evocative, a stark contrast to the sterile, modern art Bronwyn favored. I found myself drawn to one painting in particular, a seascape that captured the raw power and beauty of the ocean. As I stood there, lost in the painting, a woman approached me. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" she said, her voice soft and melodic. I turned and saw a woman with kind eyes and a warm smile. Her name was Isolde, and she was the gallery owner. We talked for hours that night about art, about life, about the challenges and triumphs of following your passion. Isolde was a kindred spirit, a woman who understood the power of art to heal and inspire. Over the next few weeks, we became close friends. She introduced me to the Boston art scene, encouraged me to explore my own creative side, and helped me to see that there was life beyond Bronwyn and Kellan. Meanwhile, back in Baltimore, Bronwyn was trying to reach me. She left countless messages, begging me to talk to her, to give her a chance to explain. But I refused to answer. I couldn't bear to hear her voice, to listen to her lies. I knew that anything she said would be a manipulation, an attempt to minimize her betrayal and salvage what was left of our life together. Finally, she showed up at my hotel in Boston, unannounced. I opened the door to find her standing there, her eyes red and swollen, her face etched with guilt and remorse. "Caius, please," she said, her voice trembling. "I am so sorry. I made a terrible mistake." I stood there, unmoved, as she poured out her heart, recounting the events that led to her affair with Kellan. She claimed it was a moment of weakness, a lapse in judgment, that she never meant to hurt me, but I didn't believe her. I saw the ring, I knew. "It was just a mistake, Bronwyn," I said, my voice cold and hard. "It was a betrayal. You lied to me, you deceived me, you broke my heart. I don't think I can ever forgive you for that." She started to cry, pleading with me to reconsider, to give her another chance. But I was done. I'd given her my heart, my trust, my life, and she'd thrown it all away. "It's over, Bronwyn," I said, closing the door in her face. The next few months were a blur of legal proceedings. The divorce was messy and acrimonious, with Bronwyn fighting for everything she could get. She claimed I was emotionally abusive, that I'd driven her into Kellan's arms, but I had proof of her affair, and the judge sided with me. I walked away from the marriage with my dignity intact, but with a deep wound that would take a long time to heal. As for Bronwyn and Kellan, their affair didn't last long. Their relationship was built on lies and deceit, and it crumbled under the weight of its own toxicity. Kellan's wife left him, taking their children with her. His reputation as an artist was tarnished and his career stalled. Bronwyn lost everything: her husband, her home, her friends, and her reputation. She tried to rebuild her life, but the damage was done. She was forever branded as the woman who'd betrayed her husband and destroyed her marriage. I, on the other hand, found a new life in Boston. I embraced my passion for art, taking classes and experimenting with different mediums. I reconnected with old friends, made new ones, and discovered a sense of community I'd never known before. And most importantly, I fell in love with Isolde. She was everything Bronwyn wasn't: honest, compassionate, and fiercely loyal. With Isolde, I found the love and happiness I thought I'd lost forever. One day, a few years after the divorce, I received a letter from Bronwyn. She apologized for her actions, admitting that she'd made a terrible mistake. She said she understood why I couldn't forgive her, and that she wished me all the best. I read the letter with a sense of detachment, as if it were about someone else's life, not my own. I realized that I'd finally moved on, that Bronwyn was no longer a part of my story. I crumpled the letter and tossed it into the trash, a symbolic gesture of letting go of the past. I walked into the studio, where Isolde was waiting for me, her eyes sparkling with love and happiness. I wrapped my arms around her, grateful for the second chance I'd been given. In that moment, I knew that I'd finally found my happily ever after. The betrayal had been a painful chapter in my life, but it had also led me to a place of greater strength, resilience, and love. And for that, I was grateful.